Hello, today I'm checking out the APU Loudness Contour plugin. You might know there's something known as Fletcher Manson curves, and that was a study done to analyze how we as humans perceive balance in between frequencies, in between frequency, the spectrum that we can hear, depending on how loud they are. What that means is that if you listen to the same, let's say, song, if you listen to the same song quiet and loud, the balancing between the frequencies perceptually to you is not the same. When you're listening to it quietly, you hear more of the mid frequencies compared to the lows and the highs, especially to the lows. But as you boost the volume up, that changes. So perceptually, that changes for you. It's always the same, of course, coming out of the speakers, but for you, they start to be closer together. So the low and the high frequencies start to equalize and to level up with the mids somewhat. How loud you listen to whatever you're listening to affects in the spectral balance you perceive from that music or whatever it is. Let's say it's white noise. So this plugin can apply those curves to emulate how the music would sound when it's quiet, when it's louder, okay? And you could compensate when you're listening to it quietly so it doesn't fool you as much into thinking there is no bass at all or no highs at all. When you're listening to it quietly, the mids really come out. So you could apply a curve to counter that. Or you could apply that curve, let's say to your synthesizer, to make sure it sounds louder in the mix. That's also a possibility. Or you could apply it to a whole master, thinking that maybe this kind of loudness curve applied is going to make it sound, well, louder. So let's try some of those. I'm going to try it on this song right here. And I'll try this one. This is ISO curve. So this is what you get. Basically, this is how we perceive music when it's really, really quiet. That's the point. Now, it doesn't really get this extreme, but this is the curve that by, sampling so many people, listening to music and comparing frequencies, this is the curve they got to. You can also do the opposite. So you can apply the same EQ curve that is supposed to compensate for that change in the opposite direction. And there is other really interesting things here. You could also apply the LUFS K weighting curve that is used for measuring LUFS out of a signal. So basically, it's going to cut the low frequencies below 100, and it's going to boost everything above 1K, starting at 1K, and then at 2K, it's a shelf, basically. So you can see what happens with the signal right here, and you can apply that to music. So basically, this curve is applied, and then you're measuring RMS, and you get LUFS. What matters is that you can use these curves to maybe alter your signal so that it maybe sounds louder, at least so that it seems like it's louder. So you can use one of these curves that mimic our perception of hearing, and you can apply it to the positive or negative effect. And as I've already shown you, that's nice. So you could actually, in all effectiveness, just change the way you hear music when you're maybe working at low volumes. So you could maybe apply this curve when you're working at lower volumes so that you're not fooled as much. And then just when you go back to standard to normal, bypass the plugin and done. So let me show you the difference. See, the bass was almost gone. It is a big difference, but you don't have to make it so big. But you could apply this, let's say, to your synthesizers like so. Let's try this part and unbypass it. In the perception of this synthesizer, it's the opposite of this curve, is like it's hiding. It's all snug into everything. Of course, I'm working here on the entire track, but you could do the opposite as well. So you could make sure this is something that might help it punch through the mix as well. So you can use this for creative purposes, but most importantly, you can use it to compensate when you're making music at a quiet level and your perception of the balance of the frequencies is not the same. And I did use a plugin similar to this. I think it was TDR's plugin that could apply a curve that would mimic this kind of effect and help you when doing something or mixing at lower levels of volume, helping you with the balance to make it seem like it was louder. So this is what the plugin does. Honestly, I have no deep thoughts about it. It's not that expensive. It's $30. If you need help, if you need something like this that's going to help you when, mixing at different levels to stay objective, this is a great thing to have. You could definitely do this by just using a normal EQ and apply it on a curve like this, but that would be quite complicated. So I think it's worth its money. It really is. And it has a lot of settings that you can, customize the view and the visualization of it. If you don't understand half of the things I've said about it, you need to learn more. So you can check out the course at mixingacademy.com. Thanks to 11.org, it's completely free. If you haven't liked the video, please do. If you haven't subscribed, and most of you don't, do subscribe. Helps the channel. If you don't like my stupid glasses, comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.